I met a gypsy.
So, all right. So, leadership. Where do you think? What does that word mean to you, and how do you think it applies to you? I'm curious. Based on everything that you've just said, I'm curious to this.
So, growing up, obviously my dad has a huge influence on me, and he's led me to where I am now. So, I feel like now I'm at the point where I'm kind of steering the ship a little bit, like especially being in the 450 class, 250 class, you're pretty much you're getting told not getting told what to do, but you're kind of relying on other people. And now I'm actually having that transition. Yeah, now I'm in the big show. So now I'm having a hard time because I've always relied on people to kind of make decisions for me, kind of, because I've always had my dad, I've had my team, and now I'm in the point where last year I can make decisions, and it kind of, I wouldn't say it got to me, but I probably wouldn't be, I guess I would be fine as a manager, but like for me as a rider, I always demand 100%, and I demand that it's hard work's always going to be given. And for me last year, I felt like we weren't in a good spot with the bike, and I didn't feel like we were going right down the right path. So I was trying to lead them in a way where I thought was better. And I was just being very, I should say, probably just pretty much an asshole to everybody. And I kind of realized that halfway through the year, I'm like, man, because it was really the first time I've had to actually like steer the ship for me. So I wasn't being a very good leader, and that's kind of where I've came to this year. I'm trying to become more and more somebody that somebody could follow, like whether it be my buddy Garrett that I train, or probably one of my best friends in Florida. I try and help him out as much as possible, and people that I am around, especially younger kids and stuff like that, I always try and help them as much as possible. I like to give advice where I can, and it's easier for me to do that with those people than it is for me to like steer my own ship and lead myself in the right direction. So I'm always feel like I can say the right things to people around me, especially people that I am close with. But for me, last year, trying to lead the team, or not lead the team, but lead my group of people in the right direction with the bike and stuff, I'd get super short. I'd pretty much just be, like I said, an ass to people. And I've kind of learned that. But for growing up, like I said, my dad has always led me in the right direction, didn't let me make any mistakes. And I guess it almost hindered me a little bit because I wasn't super confident in how I was being able, or I wasn't comfortable with making decisions and being able to put myself in the right direction. So I would say I'm learning with it, but overall, like people around me, whether it be my agent, my buddy Garrett, just my friends in general, I try to always put them in the right direction and lead them down a path where I know, like, because I've just been this way since I was little. So for me, it's easy, but for other people, it's hard for them to be motivated. And I want to see people be successful. So for me, I always feel like when I was done, I could be a team manager or something in a role where I could help people. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. And I'm trying to learn how to do that for myself because I wasn't very good at it last year. I don't know if that makes. I don't know if that answers. I don't know if that answers your question, but that was kind of what I tried to explain a little bit.
So, first of all, it's pretty dope that you can admit all that. Second of all, it's pretty dope that you can admit all that to like hundreds of thousands of people. But I never give advice. Like, I try to never give advice on this podcast ever, especially to people like you that are fucking killing it at life. But we're very similar in the way that we think about life, the way that we think about hard work, expectations, like all that sort of stuff, right? You've kind of had a pretty crazy life to just be groomed and have this pathway that you've followed the entire time. I mean, my life has been very successful, but it's been so like, you know what I mean? It's in a very different kind of way. So I'm always reluctant to like give people advice. What I've learned personally about myself is that I had all the things that you said, but I had no perspective that if you want to be that guy, if you want to be working hard as fuck, and then you expect all the people, if your level's up here and you feel like people are down here, but you expect that gap between them and you, that's on you. That's leadership, and that's what you need to be. And again, I feel weird giving you this advice, but so take it or leave it. But it's like, you need to be a leader, and you need to look at yourself every single day as a leader. And it's weird because your dad's been the guy that's been there your whole life, and then he's been the one that was kind of leading you like when you're a puppy stage, and then you got Beaks, who's like the leader, and then you've got the team, and it's like the team, like they're fucking so much wiser than me, and they've been doing it forever, and they know this, and it's on you. Like, you're the captain of the ship, and if you want these people to come up to your level and be on the level that you're on, it's about leadership, and it's about owning everything that's wrong, like everything that's wrong with the bike, everything that's wrong with the program, anything that's wrong with the relationships. It's like literally all on you. And there's a really good book, I don't know if you like reading that much, but it's called Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, and then he wrote a follow-up book to that called The Dichotomy of Leadership. And I recently read it, man, because I was lacking, like seriously lacking in my life when it come to leadership. Like, the past 12 months was the first time I'd ever had an employee. Like, I'd only ever just worked by myself. And it was funny, man. Like, I went through what you explained. Like, I'm like, why the fuck aren't you working? Essentially, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like all the time I'd have this feeling of like, dude, look at what I'm doing. Look at the effort I'm putting in. And it's like, I was just wanted that same thing. It was like, come on, like, let's go, lift up to, this is the level I'm on. This is the level you need to be on. And it's like, there has to be some real leadership techniques and some real ownership of like that gap. And then instead of looking at the gap as like the thing that the other person needs to come up to you, it's like, you've got to kind of go halfway and own everybody's mistakes as your own. And if the bike's not working, you're not the dude that's putting the setting in the fork or the shock, but it's like, it's your bike, you're the leader, and it's like the captain's got to go down with the ship. And man, I really invested some time over the last like 4 or 5 months, like trying to learn more about leadership, because like, you're a natural leader. So all the things that you've described, and like the dedication, the discipline, the hard work, the expectation, you're a born leader in that sense, you know? And I think that what happens sometimes is when you don't really realize the position that you're in, to where it's like, holy fuck, like I am the leader. Like everything stops with me. And I think that, you know, it's like that, sounds like that mentality shift that you're starting to have. So like for me, I would say to you, like, really like read about leadership, invest in like learning, because what you're describing is like a young kid. You're a young kid that is a leader, that is like not yet fully experienced in that role of being a leader. And I think that, man, if you like really get that side of it dialed, like that might be the thing that is gonna just fucking
yeah. I completely agree with that, because I mean, I don't want to get into like relationship stuff on here, but like it's so easy to point the finger in that, especially because you're always going to have problems. You're always going to have stuff and you have to work through it. But it's 100%. So easy to say that you're not the one that's the problem. And this last, I would say 4 or 5 months, I've really kind of, well, especially it all started last year when I wasn't getting the results that I wanted to get. It's really hard to point the finger back at yourself, because my dad always told me, when you point a finger at somebody, you always have 3 pointing back at you. And it's hard to really realize it. But for me now, last year, the bike, like I'll say it straight up. Last year, I was not happy. I was frustrated. I feel like I wasn't getting what I needed from the team, and just the effort I feel like wasn't there. And for me, I think a lot of it was how I was not treating them like crap, but I was demanding stuff. I wasn't working with them. And it's hard. It's a tough pill for me to swallow, because I've been told that, but it took me 4 or 5 months to realize it. So now I'm at the point where I do need to steer these guys in the right direction. I can't be negative. I got to be positive. If the bike's not great, I got to somehow corral or get the morale of the team up and try and get them surrounding me and trying to just build and get better. So last year, straight up, I wasn't doing it right. That was probably a lot of my problem last year. I wasn't communicating well with the team. I wasn't getting the point across that I needed to get across. So yeah, it's crazy that you said that, because you hit the nail on the head, because that's exactly what was going on last year with me. And now that I'm not saying I got it figured out, but I'm definitely on the right path to kind of being able to, like you said, lead people. And just, it's all about getting what you need, but getting people around you to do it. And as a racer, you are in control, but you rely on a lot of people to do jobs so that you can do your job. So I always give credit where credit's due. Whenever I feel like the bike's good, I always tell the guys, like, dude, you guys did a great job, but it's also when it's not good, you got to kind of get the morale around and kind of get them to support you. So yeah, it's definitely something you have to work on. And I've never dealt with that on the Tibity side. It's hard because you're always controlled. And my dad obviously has led me to this point, but now it's kind of in my hands and I have to learn it. And it's been a transition, but like I said, it's been a big learning curve. And for me, I've dealt with it in every area of my life.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.